Oh, oh, he's on the call. So welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Amali.
Hey, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Are you hearing us okay?
I hear you fine.
Yes,
Yes. Can you
yes,
hear
yes.
me?
Yes, we're hearing you good. So, give us some insight as to the quarantining process that happens at the Royal St Kitts Hotel.
Certainly. So here at the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, while we have international travelers and we have quarantined guests, international travelers may be somebody that is coming to vacation in place here in the Federation, and a quarantined guest is somebody that may be a returning national, a resident, or a student that's returning back to the island. We treat the quarantine guests and the international guests the same on their arrival, meaning that they both get a red wristband to identify that they are in their first week of their stay,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's their vacation in place or the first week of their quarantine. Now, a guest that's here on quarantine, a returning national, they may not wish to take the 7-day test to participate in any of the pre-approved excursions. So they would remain a red wristband until their 14 days is up, and they take their test on the 14th day, and they're cleared. So therefore, they would never leave the front doors of the hotel.
Okay.
An international guest that's vacationing in place, they would like to take some of the pre-approved excursions. So if they take their test on day 7 and that test result comes back negative, they then get a black wristband, which identifies to all the staff that this is an individual that has passed the 7-day test and is now able to leave the hotel to get into a pre-approved taxi to go on a pre-approved excursion. A black wristband also identifies a guest that is permitted to use the Royal Gym between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. daily. Now, during that time, there will be no other guests in the gym other than guests with black wristbands. The gym will then close from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. for cleaning and sanitizing, and it will reopen for guests at 1 p.m. If a guest is staying longer than 2 weeks and they take their day 14 test and that test comes back negative, they then get a yellow wristband. And the yellow wristband identifies guests that are free to leave the hotel to get into, Bobsies or Rams at the front in the Royal Plaza, or to use the Royal Gym outside of any other time other than the 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily. So that's how we control the wristbands with our international guests and or our quarantine guests. Now, local guests that come to visit the hotel to stay here, yes, they receive a green wristband. So if a guest is coming to check in for the weekend or even if it's just for one night, they'll receive a green wristband so that our security and our employees know that that person is permitted to leave the front of the hotel
Mm-hmm.
and engage in Bobsies or Rams or anything else that we have here at the property.
Okay, great. So some of us, we had some questions in terms of the quarantiners that are, they're quarantining in place. I know the style of the hotel rooms, they have kitchens, and I'm sure some of the quarantine guests would wish to cook. How would they go about obtaining groceries?
Yep, so we provide a service for them whereby we would do grocery shopping for them. We would go to Rams to purchase any groceries for them, or if they're quarantining and they have relatives that are on the island and they wish for them to shop for them, to drop off, they can drop it off at the front desk of the hotel and we'll deliver it to their room for them.
Okay, great. And you mentioned that the 7-day test is optional. If you don't want to participate in the 7-day test, you will remain a red wristband wearer for the remainder of your stay.
That's correct, until you take the 14-day test, which would basically allow you to check out of the hotel and to reinsert yourself into the population.
Okay, awesome.
By the way, how about what is in place at the facility to keep the local guest, those who are checking in for, let's say, a night or a weekend, separate from the quarantine guests?
Well, the property is a total of 18 acres, so it's quite large. And for those of you that have been to the property made up of 29 two-story buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So the hotel is separated in a way where we keep all of our international or quarantine guests on one section of the hotel, and then our local guests in a different section. Basically, you turn left or you turn right.
Okay. Just to ask a follow-up question, is there like security in those sections to make sure individuals wearing a green wristband don't enter the quarantine zone and vice versa?
Yes, we have a number of security personnel throughout the property, as well as the COVID compliance task force.
Awesome. There's also a pre-arrival process. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Certainly. Well, just as the government wishes to know the status of an individual arriving into the Federation, we here at the property want to know as well. So our guests, it's mandatory that they take the PCR test within 72 hours of travel to the Federation, and it's mandatory that they upload that to the government website for their entry form. We also require that those test results get emailed to our front desk so that we are aware of them as well. And after the 7-day test, once that test result comes back negative, we also request for a copy of it to be given to us as proof that that guest can now be changed from a red wristband to a black wristband.
Okay, Darren, quick question. What are there, if there are any at all, any repercussions for quarantining guests who choose to remove their wristband and try and, evade, let's call it property campus security? What measures do yourself or the government have in place to deal with people who choose to be delinquent? Because we've heard stories from many other territories of people trying to evade security, evade quarantine, and join the population for whatever they wish. So can you shed some light on measures in place?
Yes. Well, if someone decides, if someone with a red wristband decides that they're going to leave the hotel and they're not obviously permitted to leave the hotel, local law enforcement will be notified and they will be arrested and charged.
So, for another scenario's sake, what would happen if a red wristband wearer removes the wristband and tries to roam the property as let's say a food, because it's open to the public to go and purchase food at Splash and so on, and I don't think those persons are permitted, are given wristbands, correct?
No, that is correct.
Right.
So at the entry to each of the block of rooms, there is a security officer or a task force, and the only people that are to be in that area of the property where the hotel rooms are must have wristbands or be employees of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So if they saw somebody that was in that area that didn't have a wristband, that would be a cause for concern, because that individual should not be in that area, and they will be questioned and or detained.
Okay, great.
Darren, one of the things that I know you guys have put in place is increased sanitization protocols. Could you speak to that, especially concerning places like the gym, where we'll have different people mingling? I know you guys have done some, I don't know if it's steaming or something, but I know there's stuff that you guys have put in place. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, well, at the front of the hotel, we've installed an individual hand wash station that's foot operated, so you got to step on the pedal in order to start the water. We also have security at the front that is doing screening, taking temperature checks of anybody that's entering the property, as well as ensuring that everybody's wearing their mask correctly. We're also recording names, telephone numbers, and addresses for contact tracing in case there is ever any situation here at the hotel where somebody has a confirmed case. In the Royal Gym, when we close from 12 till 1, we clean all of the equipment, and then at about 12:45, we use our electrostatic sprayer, and we spray all of the equipment and all the frequently touched surfaces so that it can be disinfected. We also use an electrostatic sprayer in any of our departure rooms. So if a guest is checking out of the hotel, regardless of whether they were negative, we still use the electrostatic sprayer in the room at the end of the cleaning process to make sure that we disinfect everything.
Okay, so it's an electrostatic sprayer. Okay, awesome. Because I think that was one of the things that people were concerned about, having seen the situation on like cruise ships, where the virus was found to be present in the rooms even after persons would have checked out. So it's a real relief to hear that you guys have that piece of equipment and are using it effectively.
Yes.
And so another question that we have is, what about the use of the pool facilities? Are both locals, guests, and international guests permitted to use the pool?
So here at the property, we actually have two pools. We have the splash pool deck, which has been assigned for international travelers on week 1 and 2 of their stay. We also have the code pool, which is near where the new building is being constructed, over where the local guests stay. Currently, that pool is under renovation. It is expected that that pool will be completed as of December the 1st. Once that pool is reopened, that will be the pool for local guests or international travelers that are on 3 weeks or longer.
Okay, so currently local guests cannot use a pool.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Currently, unfortunately, we do not have a pool that is available to local guests.
Okay, and then would you mind going into a bit of the room cleaning process as to what happens when a quarantine guest checks out?
Certainly. Well, what we've done is we have actually removed all paper products from the room. So things like the information binder that you may find in standard hotel rooms or paper magazines, things along those lines. We've actually removed all of that from our room, and we're going digital. So you can scan a QR code to get access to the room service menus. Essentially, you'll be doing everything from your phone or from your laptop or iPad. So there's nothing that's left over in the room from the previous guests. We do a thorough cleaning, make sure that we focus on all the frequently touched surfaces. And as I said, once the person leaves, our departure specialist after housekeeping leaves and finishes her cleaning, our departure specialist enters the room and uses our electrostatic sprayer to spray everything to ensure that it is disinfected.
Awesome. This was very insightful. Do you have anyone else has any questions?
No. Quite thorough.
Very thorough.
It
And
really seems like a lot of thought has been put into the process. Even things that we would have maybe even not overlooked, even things like taking all the paper products out to the room and making sure that nothing's left over from the previous guest and stuff like that. So it's really comforting to know that so much thought has been put in place, and that there's all these protocols in place as well to help keep the nation safe.
Yes. I mean, I just wanted to let you know, I have a personal responsibility to my employees, my family, and to the government to ensure that the protocols that we have in place are followed and to ensure that there is no spread of the virus. I also have a professional responsibility to all of our guests to ensure their safety, as well as a social responsibility to make sure that there is no community spread of the virus. Don't forget that we also have the national responsibility to stimulate economic growth in the Federation through employment, revenue generation, and potential for investment. I just want to reassure everybody that the Royal St Kitts Hotel is not here to play. We are very serious about our protocols that we have established, and we want to let everybody know that we are doing everything that we can to prevent any chance of community spread of the virus. Don't listen to everything you hear, but believe what you see. Trust what the government has done, and trust what the task force and health professionals have done to keep us safe. Follow the protocols businesses have established. Wear your mask, practice good hand hygiene, and maintain a safe distance.
All right, thank you very much, Darren.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And if there's ever any questions, please feel free to let me know.
All right, no problem, sir.
some will do. Thanks again.
Have a great day.
You
All right,
too.
you too.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Darren
Darren who?
Thompson. Who's Banks? That was Darren Thompson, the general manager of Royal St Kitts Hotel, and he answered lots of questions that I'm sure we all had regarding the quarantining process at the Royal St Kitts, and I think this will bring about a lot of public relief because now that now when we see someone in a wristband near to the property, we won't panic, or even outside of the property, because the local guests can leave and go wherever they choose to go. So, I think it would help us to not have, a freak out when we see individuals in wristbands.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too is that really kudos to Royal St Kitts, because they heard the concerns and made themselves available to answer some of these questions.
Big time.
Because people were freaking out over the weekend, big time, and trying to understand exactly what the situation was, but now having heard exactly all the things that are put in place, how things work, the wristband allocation and all that thing, I think it helps to provide a sense of calm. Even for me, who is expecting friends and family to be coming home soon,
At least you understand the process.
Yeah, I understand the process now, and I'm able to also inform them before they get here.
Mm-hmm.
I put things in place. So, for instance, like, I have a family member who's going to be coming back pretty soon, and knowing that I could do shopping and carry to the front desk for them, and so all these things is really
Very
important.
helpful.
Yeah, big time. And I think all of my questions were answered, to be honest, and quite thoroughly. But if you want to read or if you want to share the article, you can also share this interview on our Facebook page, WINNmedia, on Facebook, WINNmedia on YouTube. And you can share the interview if you want to send around the clip so people can understand what's happening. But we also have on our page, WINNMedia, skn.com, there's an article that was posted with a breakdown as to Royal St. Kitts' Q&A that we had with them. So we'll take a very, very short break and we'll come back with more Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Amali.